Gareth's Story Planet.
Hello and welcome back to Gareth's Story Planet. I'm still in old London town, and today I'm joined by a writer, a lyricist, a wordsmith, a playwright, and an all-round, amazing guy, Timothy Knapman.
Hooray! Hello.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thank you very much, yes.
Now, we met, if you can cast your mind back, at a lovely party with free drink and cakes.
Always.
Last summer. But I already knew about you because, like me, you have a massive theatre background as well.
I do, yes, and not just a background, hopefully a foreground as well. I mean, I haven't stopped doing it.
Yeah.
But yes, absolutely, yes, I do also work in the theatre, that's
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe that is the reason why your texts are phenomenal in terms of the rhyme and the patter.
That's very, very kind. I certainly do think that for a picture book, which is what I mostly write, you are writing to be read out loud. And so any background in script or anything where you can't waste words and you have to think about the way words sound as much as what they mean is very, very important.
I like that. You can't waste words, and that actually is quite an important lesson for writing picture books. No word goes unread.
I'm afraid
unused.
not. No.
Absolutely.
No.
So what are the similarities and what are the skills have you taken from both or that crossover?
Well, that's a very good question. I think, well, as I say, I think it's first of all you have to love language, and you have to love not only the job that words do, but the sound that they make. So, alliteration, echoes, rhymes, rhythms, all that sort of thing. I think that ought to be part of your repertoire. You don't have to write like that. You can write some of the best picture books have very, very simple. Completely not fancy text, and that works too. Of course it does. But the stuff I write, and as you say, I do write quite a lot in rhyme. It's meant to be it's something that the grown-up who's reading, because quite a lot of picture books, of course, are not read by the people who they're for. They're read to them by other people. Of course, yeah. And you've got to give something to the other person, the person who's reading it. It can't you're not just writing for 0 to 6-year-olds. You're also writing for 30-year-olds, 40-year-olds, whatever.
Of course.
20-year-olds. So that was such a long digression. I can't remember where I started. So yeah, anyway,
similarities.
Of course we were. Yeah. So language first. The sound of words. You've got to fall in love with the sound of words. I think, and the feel they make in your mouth as you're saying them. All that sort of thing. I think it's yes. You've got to. It's the way I do it is I try to make reading the text as pleasurable as possible.
And it is, when I'm reading your stuff, it really
very,
is.
Very kind, that's very kind. But the other thing is, there are two other things. Other thing one is that it's about story quite a lot of the time. And obviously if you're writing drama or anything that's on a stage or on a screen or anything like that, the moment you stop telling the story, the thing goes dead, the audience gets lost. So you focus very, very much on storytelling, and I think that's actually I think the two things feed into each other. I think I've become a better storyteller for the stage having written for very young children, and I think actually most things, if you can do them for the benefit of very young children, you can probably do them for everybody else. So
that's a good point.
I think I get another digression. So many good digressions. I'm so sorry, but I think I'm a much better public speaker, much more confident, much more fluent now to grown-ups. I don't mind getting up on a stage in front of hundreds of grown-ups and talking to them, because I've done it with hundreds of kids, and the hundreds of kids are much more terrifying.
Absolutely.
And if you can sort of get used to talking to kids and not mind when somebody puts their hand up and says that was really boring or whatever, which is generally speaking.
That?
Oh yes, I've had children vomit on each other and urinate. I mean, the urinating and the vomiting is usually nice because it means they so want to hear the end of the story that rather than putting their hand up.
That's amazing.
It's the ultimate compliment, really. Not for the people who unfortunately were in receipt of these fluids, but for me, at a safe biological distance, very, very good. So hang on. So where are we? So yes. So the language, sound of the language, the storytelling, and also, I think there is something about a picture book that always reminds me of a children's toy theatre. I think there is something. I don't know whether this is because I grew up with Where the Wild Things Are, which is always my favourite book.
Yep.
And obviously, it's a book that starts off in a little box in a bit of whiite space, and then gets bigger and bigger until it's full bleed, full page in the middle.
The space.
Exactly, and then it goes back again. But those Maurice Sendak illustrations, and I know he was also an illustrator for a designer for opera and the stage. They've always made me think about stage design, and I do think there's something about two people, the grown-up and the child, with this thing wrapped around them almost. It's almost like watching a play.
You're right. Yes,
I think that's.
I agree.
That's one of my favorites.
It's absolutely my favourite time to spend with my two little lads that I've got, two adopted boys. Reading stories with them is such a personal connection.
Yeah.
It's like our own space, our own safe zone.
Yeah.
Definitely like a theatre. I agree.
Yeah.
Now, I said on one of my other videos, I was a troubled child. I had my own theatre in my garage.
Oh, very nice.
So I used to perform a lot of my texts in my garage to myself.
Yeah.
And that has always stayed with me. So once I've written a picture book text, a lot of them are in rhyme. I tend to dance around my room, saying them in different accents and singing them to tunes.
Great.
And that is how I know if I've got the patter and the rhythm right, and also the rhymes and the sounds, which you were talking about.
Yeah.
What is your process for writing?
Oh my God, I wish
and
I did.
Do you do that?
I wish I did. I wish I did all of that. I'm going to pretend I do all of that from now on. No, I do read it out loud. The accent thing is interesting actually, because when you write lyrics, as I sometimes do for musicals, the most important thing about lyrics for musicals is clarity, because musicals do not have rewind buttons. You have to, if the audience hasn't followed what your characters are singing, then you've lost them, and you've damaged your show. So I'm very keen on proper rhymes as opposed to not quite proper rhymes of the kind you get in pop songs.
I hear you.
You can listen to things again when they're almost designed to be listened to again and again. And it doesn't matter if they don't really make much sense. It's it's just about the way the music sounds and all that sort of stuff, and the hook, almost how contagious the song is.
Contagious, I like that. Yeah.
So basically, I think yes, clarity, proper rhymes, proper scansion. Now, all of my editors, if any of my rhyming books are listening to this, they will all be throwing things at the screen because they've all corrected my scansion and my whatever. Because I do. I think it's almost the performing of it, which I do when I read it out, covers up the mistakes.
You make it perfect.
Well,
I do that.
Yes, and I think, and I don't know that I'm doing it, and I don't know about perfect, but I've sort of managed just about to blind myself to the bits that don't quite work, which is why it's very good to have an editor come back at you and say, actually, that really doesn't, that's you put an extra syllable in or whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes editors' accents flag up problems. So I had an editor whom I have never met, I must say, but he was extremely nice and from Ireland. And in a book, I rhymed Santa Claus and dinosaurs.
I can hear that.
Exactly, and I can hear it too, because we speak with accents from the same country. Yeah. But she couldn't. I've never heard her speak, so I don't know how she says those two words. But she said, no, those words don't rhyme. And I'm afraid at that point I did say, I'd like it, and I sort of insisted on it, and I pulled author's privilege, which I do very, very rarely. But so I'm very sorry if that book didn't sell very well in Ireland. But I'm still intrigued to find out how dinosaurs and Santa Claus sounded.
Dinosaurs and Santa Claus. I want to hear it now. I'm trying to say it in my head, and I don't want to appear to be.
No. Well, when
rude.
Steven Spielberg says dinosaurs, he says dinosaurs. Whenever he's talking about Jurassic Park, so maybe it's a sort of that kind of thing. Santa Claus and dinosaurs.
Other than that occasion when you got some feedback back that you didn't agree with, how do you feel as a writer when you get that kind of this isn't quite right?
I think it's the most useful thing you can possibly get. I love the relationship with an editor that I trust, and I certainly trust that particular editor. I think she's very, very good. I mean, I've worked in a couple of editors where you think, actually, no, I don't think we're writing the same book, and that can be a problem.
Yes, absolutely.
And so those weren't happy experiences, but generally speaking, in the vast majority of cases, it's just so good to have somebody intelligent and imaginative and sensitive who's reading your work, who wants to make it better. That's the thing. I always feel like, they're not criticizing. It's not like the teacher marking my essay. It's a friend helping me to make it better.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't take it as criticism. In the pejorative meaning of the word criticism, I take it as something tremendously constructive and kind. And I'm sure I may grumble a bit when the email arrives and I go, but actually you still end up with it being better. And,
absolutely.
If anybody's saying do it again, a certain number of times, if they've spotted things that are indeed wrong or could be improved, then that's brilliant. That's fantastic. That makes my job so much easier.
Yeah, I agree. And everybody, it's very collaborative. They want to work together to make the book the best it can be.
Yes,
absolutely.
yes. No, that's true.
So take us back to your roots. You went to Oxford University.
I did, yes.
Where was the leap from there to having your first picture book? What happened?
That's very interesting. Well, when I was at Oxford, I was obsessed with the theatre, I think, in the cinema, and that was where I thought my future would be, and I did some...
Me too.
Well, there we go. And who's to say it's not?
I think you are my future.
Oh my God.
I aspire to be you.
Really?
Yeah,
No, go back while you still can. I don't know. No, so I wanted to be, and I got an agent, and I was involved in theatres in London, and all that kind of stuff. Never got anything on, but it felt like something's coming, and so all that. And I kind of hung on doing that for a few years after university, but it sort of, and I had a couple of shows on in rooms over pubs. Amazing. In front of Two Men and a Dog and all that kind of stuff.
Yep, that sounds great.
And then it sort of dribbled away, and I was a little bit stuck, and various other friends sort of came in and sort of helped me and gave me different jobs. Like one of them asked me to translate, or to he'd already translated from the Italian some opera lyrics. Which were meant to be funny, but he was doing it with his little group in front of audiences who weren't laughing, and he thought, well, perhaps if we did it in English and they'd understand what people are saying, maybe that would be it. So that sort of helped me with learning to write lyrics.
Okay,
and then around about that time, I guess my friends were having kids, and they were getting to that age where they read picture books, and I'd go on holiday with them, and I'd read picture books to the little kids, and I didn't think that thing that people say they think, which is this is easy. Because I think if you think it's easy, then you don't know, you haven't noticed what's going on.
Yeah, I don't find it easy.
No.
I find it quite stressful at times.
Stressful and exacting and all that, yes, absolutely. So I didn't feel that, but I thought this is a sort of challenge. I like the look of this. I like the balance between the words and the pictures and all that sort of thing. And, and then I did think, well, the Very Hungry Caterpillar must make Eric Carle a lot of money, so it'd be nice to have one of those. There you are, you see. More money for Eric. If he's still alive, isn't he? I think he's still. Sorry, Eric, if he's not. Or if he is. Oh, dear.
Hi.
Yes, quite. He's probably watching.
He tunes in regularly to
sure.
this because he wants
Carly,
to learn.
Of course. So, enough with the whole punch. So, So basically, there were kids and there were books, and I thought, oh, let's have a go. And it was really odd having spent, and obviously I was a certain age, I was sort of late 20s, early 30s, I can't remember, but actually, no, I was probably older than that, wasn't I? I was probably mid-30s. And...
Of course, you are now, just mid-30s.
90, yes, exactly, but a great moisturiser. No, so I was, however old I was, I can't remember. So it was partly the fact that I'd spent all those years writing things and failing, and it was partly luck, I think. But one way or another, so after having tried to batter on the door of theatre for such a long time and not really have it opened, I wrote, I think, 2 or 3 texts and sent them around to all the agents, and one agent got them off the slush pile and said, I think we can do something with this. He gave me a little editorial work, and we sold it to Puffin. So that was very, very good, and I was up and running. So
amazing. So my first one went to Puffin as well. We are book brothers.
Exactly. Like yes, indeed. Yes, very good.
Fantastic. So you have had books translated into about 20 languages, I found.
Yes.
How does that come about? Do you have a hand in it? And are the texts changed much? Obviously they are changed.
Yes,
different
they are in a different language.
I'm talking about the
I honestly don't know, because I don't speak Turkish, Japanese, or all those other languages. I mean, in the theatre, when something gets translated, part of the deal is you get a reverse literal translation. So they translate something into Japanese, and then they translate what's in Japanese back into English, so you can see exactly what everybody's saying.
That's awesome.
So that's very good, but obviously it's not worth doing that with a picture book, apparently.
Oh, okay.
So they don't do that, so you just sort of have to take it on trust. The thing with co-editions is, as I'm sure you know, that it, because a picture book is such an expensive object to make because of all the expensive printing and the lovely paper and all that sort of thing, publishers like to spread the load by selling as many foreign editions as they can, so they print them all together, so they have economies of scale.
Yep.
So that's how it comes about, and they sell them at the Frankfurt Book Fair in the autumn, at the Bologna Children's Book Fair in the spring, again, as I'm sure you know. But more than that, I sell the worldwide rights to a publisher. The publisher goes around and sells the rights to foreign territories, and they get them translated, and eventually they get sent back to me, which is great. But I do have a house now full of Turkish this and Chinese that and all that.
It must be exciting though to pick a book up you wrote that you cannot read a word of.
Yes, absolutely. You can see what your name is in different scripts as well.
I can't wait.
Yes, exactly. No, it's a thrill. It's great fun, but it is a little bit bewildering because I have no idea what they're all about. But I'm sure they're very faithful to the original story.
Bye bye.